Jalen Green is currently playing in his third NBA season, and so far he's definitely proved that he has a ridiculous amount of talent. But the question has always been, can Green pull his game together to be both an efficient and reliable primary scorer for a playoff team? But over this recent span of games, Green has been putting up some high volume and efficient scoring numbers. Now when looking at the stats in film, the first thing that stands out to me is Jalen's 3-point shooting. Over the Rockets' last 8 games, almost half of Green's total shot attempts have come from behind the line, and along with that high volume, Green is also shooting an accurate 45%, which is really impressive considering how difficult many of his outside looks are.
Look up on Green. Getting some separation.
Now we all know that Jalen is one of the most explosive athletes across the NBA, but one thing that does make Green different compared to other athletic slashing wings is that Jalen also translates all that athleticism to his outside scoring. Off the bounce, Green has a very springy and punchy handle. When getting into his moves, Jalen has the ability to cover a ton of ground with the ball, to then settle his feet and rise up for a stable jumper. Watch him on this play skip up, to then pound the ball and transfer his weight to his right foot. Then watch how Green is going to cross the ball over and bring that same foot around to separate into a step back. Right here, you'll see Green working off the screen towards his left. And notice how he gets this big to open up his stance by simply exploding out horizontal. Then watch how Green is going to lower his shoulder, selling that he's about to turn the corner. But then again, he's going to separate out into the step back.
For them. There's Green who turned around.
And again, what I think makes Jalen different is how he's able to commit his body into moves to then separate out at awkward angles and find his base for a balanced jumper. Take this play for example. You'll see Green get to this push cross towards his right, and notice how he's able to attack and get outside of the defense's frame, to then slam the brakes by planting his left foot and transferring the ball between. Then watch him take this big hop back behind the line and spring up into his shot. You'll see him here make the same move going left, but now Green is going to separate by sliding the ball behind. Then he's going to again take this big hop back and rise up into his shot. This move here is pretty crazy, where Jalen's going to initially hit the same move by skating back behind the line, but watch him create additional space by dropping back down into it between, which pushes the defense back and gives Green the space to elevate. Now being able to generate and make shots like this takes a crazy amount of lower body strength and overall stability, but Jalen for sure has that, and those physical tools allow him to pretty much generate these pull-ups at will. And on top of Green's bag of punchy separation moves, he also has really good pace with the ball, constantly playing at different speeds to keep the defense off balance, which allows Green to easily create space on the perimeter. For example, one of Green's go-to moves is this left to right between step back, which is a pretty common move for righties, but Green can set this move up in a variety of ways. Right here, you'll see him hunch over and play with the ball back and forth. And as Green brings the ball through, watch him quickly replant that right foot and drop his shoulders, which pushes this defender back and gives Green plenty of space to rise up. Now on this play, watch how Green is going to glide out to his left, to then lift his chest up and drop down into that between step back. And then Green's balance and body control into his shot also makes him a pretty effective shooter off the catch, being able to blast off screens or shift to open spots to then settle his feet for a balanced jumper. And while Green this year has been playing off the ball more than usual, these still aren't the type of shots he gets in high volume. And over this recent span of games, a vast majority of Jalen's perimeter looks have been coming off the dribble, which I think can be a double-edged sword. Because while Green for sure has a lot of different ways to create these outside looks, and he is a really talented tough shot maker, many of these looks are still really difficult. And while Jalen right now is on a heater, I still question if the Rockets offense can stomach these type of shots in high volume, but I guess time will tell. But regardless of that, defenses still respect Jalen as an outside scorer, which pulls the defense out beyond the 3, giving Jalen the leverage to attack downhill.
From 3, Green back in 2, and the crossover.
Now we all know that Green has some ridiculous explosiveness, but with the ball on the perimeter, Green also has a really good first step, which allows him to get easy blow-bys off the bounce. Right here, notice how extended up the defense is on this pick and roll. And from this spot, Jalen is going to simply turn on the jets and carve out a clear path to the rim. Now on this play, we'll again see Jalen playing in pick and roll. And notice how his outside shooting threat forces this defender to fight over the screen, which then allows Green to simply turn the corner and attack the slower footed big one-on-one. And then Jalen's also great at using his rhythm and pace with the ball to initiate blow-bys. One of Green's go-to moves is this basic hezzy between blow-by, where Jalen lifts up his level and pulls the defense out towards the 3, then he slides the ball through and commits to his attack. You'll see him on this play catch and slide the ball between, to then again lift his eyes and chest up, creating another easy drive. Now we went over how effective Jalen is at covering ground with the ball in order to create space into his jumper. But Jalen also has all these movements layered with counters. Watch him here drop down into a combo, then skate back. And notice how he pulls this defender up towards the 3, which allows Jalen to drop down into this between and get an easy blow-by. I love this move here, where Jalen's attacking in transition, and watch him slide the ball behind his back and float up towards the 3. And when Jalen feels the defense being pulled up towards him, notice how he's going to sink his weight into his left foot and re-attack towards the baseline. Green this year has also added some different pickups and strides to his finishing bag. Another one of his go-to moves this year has been this low pickup, where Jalen initially gets the defense to open up by attacking hard to his right, then he sweeps the ball past the defense's top foot and extends to the rim. You'll see him here set up the same move by first getting to this in and out, and notice how he gets this defender hunched over and completely out of his stance, which allows Green to pick up and explode to his left. This is also a tough move here, where Green's attacking towards the middle, and he wraps the ball behind back towards his right, but watch him stop his momentum by sinking his weight into his right foot, and Euroing across the middle with his next step. Now when scoring in the deep paint, Jalen still heavily relies on his athleticism, simply using his vertical pop to explode up and find finishing windows in the air. You'll see him on this play catch and attack towards the middle, and as this defender shifts over, notice how Green is going to rotate his hips on the floor and float right past the defense to extend into this lefty finish. When elevating off the floor, Green also loves to initiate contact, and he's great at absorbing bumps and finding these small pockets to finish. You'll see him here turn the corner off the screen, and as this big rotates down to take away the rim, notice how Green is going to elevate off 2 feet and attack his body, to then find an angle to finish. Now despite having all that ridiculous athleticism and body control in the air, Green statistically is still a below average finisher. When looking at the film, Jalen is a very reckless driver. Pretty much all his finishes come back to him simply exploding up and trying to create some type of scoring angle in the air, which can work in spots for Jalen because he's so physically gifted. But in order for him to really take a big step forward as a deep paint scorer, Green has to add more depth to his finishing bag.
Nice block there by Holmes.
One thing I would love to see Jalen do is slow down in the paint. Whenever Jalen's coming downhill, it always seems like he's in a rush to get a shot off. On this play, you'll initially see Green turn the corner off the screen, and from this spot, the Rockets have this side of the floor spaced out with shooters. So Jalen has the space to go at this big one-on-one, and notice how Green chaotically drives into this big's body. Then he loses balance and forces up this rushed push shot. Now pretty much all the best deep paint scorers across the league are great at slowing down and using their body and strides to create finishing angles. Obviously Luka Doncic is one of the first guys that comes to mind when it comes to patience in the lane. But a better example for Green is Anthony Edwards, because like Green, Ant also has that quick twitch explosiveness off the floor, but Edwards is also great at playing with pace in the lane, and this year he's also started to add these deceleration steps around the basket, which throws off the timing of the defense and allows Ant to more easily find a window to finish. I think if Green can add a little more pace and patience in the lane, that by itself could massively improve his efficiency around the basket. And if you pair that kind of pace along with Green's explosiveness, that could quickly turn him into one of the best slashers across the league. But overall, I think Jalen Green is obviously a really talented scorer. He's got the skill and tools to generate outside looks in a variety of ways, plus he can also leverage that outside threat to put pressure on the rim. I think the main question for Green right now is consistency. Can he keep up these same shooting numbers for the rest of the year? And will his style of play effectively translate over to the postseason? If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments what you think of Jalen Green's game. The kid's here.